Itakuwa sawa, utamsikia tu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for keeping it TV47. My name is Betty Kialo. I'm hoping that you had a fairly okay day. I know we've had a really tough week as a country, and we just hope that we keep going and also things get better. Well, on the show tonight, we have, of course, your favorites, starting with Willis the Word Master, who is currently live and direct from Kisii County. Willis, how are you tonight? Willis, can you hear me? All right, so we'll be linking up with Willis in just a short while. But of course, we have seen, of course, all the feedback with regard to the words that you'd want us to talk about tonight. But that's just Willis the Word Master. Remember, on the show today, we have Eugene Mbugua, film extraordinaire. He has quite the number of shows, like starting from award-winning shows like Kialo Culture, we have Soul Family. He has done so much for the film industry, and he'll be just talking to us about just how does he get to do it. And obviously, you know, we have the guest anchor segment, and we have two students from Mount Kenya University. They'll be joining me in studio because I actually met them yesterday, and they're very, very talented. They'll be having their shot at reading news. Let's start the show with the highlights. Autopsy reveals that Rex Masai was shot from the back as it emerges that the 29-year-old could have been saved if the police acted fast.
Jijini mwendo wa saa 2 ikielekea na nusu nilimpata mtoto wangu amelala chini akiwa ana uhai tena.
Protests witnessed in Siaya, Kitui and Homa Bay as angry youth protest against their MPs for passing the finance bill to the second reading.
You want to tax us? We have no problem with paying taxes, but you're not seeing where the taxes are going.
Gen Z now announces 7 days of defiance. Kenya Kwanza MPs defend their decision to support the finance bill, saying the opposite will result into a crisis.
Kwa kimataifa, finance bill ikishindwa ama ikiangusha, the net effect, kusema ukweli, ni kwamba serikali imeng'olewa mamlakani.
Thank you very much for joining us. Let's begin the news. Now, pressure is mounting on Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome to take responsibility over the death of Rex Masai, a protester who was allegedly shot by police on Thursday. The Azimio Brigade is calling for the resignation of Koome and other senior officers in police command, even as they promise a showdown on Tuesday during the final vote of the finance bill.
In a strongly worded statement, the African Union also reminded the Kenyan government that the right to peaceably protest is enshrined under Article 11 of the African Charter and must be respected.
After an intense protest countrywide spearheaded by the Generation Z, police officers have found themselves in the eye of a storm following the death of a young person by the name Alex Kanyike, who was allegedly shot while protesting against the 2024 financial bill. The Azimio la Umoja coalition led by Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka are now piling more pressure to see Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome is held responsible, plus the Nairobi Police Commander Adamson Bungei, whom they accuse of failing to protect their life during the protest. They also want the police officer who fired the killer shot be brought to book.
As Azimio, and on behalf of the people, we demand that Inspector General Japhet Koome and Nairobi Regional Commander Mr. Adamson Bungei immediately tender their resignations for failing to protect the peaceful demonstrators. We also demand that the Director of Public Prosecution bring charges against Koome, Bungei, and their rogue officers for the murders of Rex and the 75. All Kenyans' lives matter, and our police service just know that one day you'll be held accountable for all their lives lost.
Elsewhere, a minority leader of the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi, opined that any attempts by the state to ignore the Gen Z generation is likely to attract a different political approach against the government. This will in turn change the system of Kenya's politics.
Vijana wanaweza pendua serikali yao. Wale vijana wasipochungwa na waitwe kwa meza ili watu wazungumuze. Because now where we have reached, the country now requires a conversation. The country now is in need of a national conversation.
While it is seen like the National Assembly is treated like a pet to the head of state, whose work is to rubber stamp any agenda, Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi affirmed that he won't take any side when it comes to voting.
Sasa hao ambao Ruto akiwapigia simu wanatetemeka kama watoto, ni kina nani hao? Bure kabisa.
A series of countrywide demonstrations is also expected to happen on Tuesday next week as the young generation yearns to be heard. Paul Kerobi, TV47, Nairobi.
It is not yet over. Well, this is the position of the Gen Z protesters against the Finance Bill 2024, now dubbed the 7 Days of Rage. Protests will be conducted across the country till the 25th on Thursday next week. All this in a bid to reject the Finance Bill in its entirety. Well, protests were witnessed today against members of Parliament who voted for the Finance Bill on Thursday. Sheila Chilangat has the details.
These were the scenes Thursday, right after the passing of the Finance Bill for a second reading. And today it was no different, with protests witnessed in several counties. Here in Kitui, transport and business were brought to a near standstill, the protesters angered by what they termed as selfish interests by their MPs.
How can you renovate a house with 600 million, a house that was bought for 400 million? Hatutaki. Can you do your budgeting? Can you cut on your expenditure and not tax us?
It was a classical case of same script, different cast in Homa Bay and Siaya counties, demonstrating the move by their leaders in supporting the contentious Finance Bill. This to them tantamount to betrayal.
We've been quiet. We thought that you would have you would have put down the Finance Bill as the demands of other youths in the country, but you failed.
And if we continue living in silence, we are going to be oppressed. We are going to suffer the consequences.
The passing of the Finance Bill yesterday, despite calls for rejection of it by the young Gen Z demonstrators, has seemingly not dampened the spirit for their cause. Another round of the Anti-Finance Bill 2024-2025 looms in this coming 7 days. The protest, now dubbed 7 Days of Rage, behind it is a generation that remains unbowed and refused to remain silent. For Sunday, churches have been asked to deny any politicians who voted yes for the bill to speak to congregants. Monday has been slotted for visiting offices of members of parliament who voted yes. And as the bill will be tabled in parliament on Tuesday for its second reading stage, protests against it have been planned and expected to take place across the country. Thursday is the day the president is expected to assent the bill into law, and planned for the day is a march to State House. With one voice, these new faces of protest have vowed to march on in a bid to have their cry heard. Sheila Chalangat for TV 47.
Now tonight, the Director of Public Prosecutions has directed quick investigations into the fatal shooting of Rex Kanyike Masai, a protester who allegedly met his death during protests on Thursday. Now his autopsy showed that Rex was shot on his left thigh as he was running away from the police who were dispersing protesters. Now this comes even as it now emerges that Rex could still be alive if police decided to act fast. Franklin Wala has the details.
Investigations into the fatal shooting of Rex Kanyike Masai in Nairobi CBD have begun on an intense gear. Now the ODPP wants an inquiry into his killing be launched and the report forwarded to his office within the next 21 days. ODPP through a statement says he is aware that the 29-year-old was allegedly shot on 20th June 2024 and died while receiving treatment at Bliss Healthcare Center, Nairobi. This is the scenario of the shooting. In the video, a plainclothes police officer was captured firing aimlessly towards youthful demonstrators who were demonstrating against the 2024-2025 finance bill on Thursday night. Moments after the trigger-happy cop released the trigger, a bleeding young man was found helpless outside the Galitos opposite Hilton Hotel. He had been shot.
Wakati alipokuwa akitoka kutafuta, akapitia mjini, akapatana na yale maandamano. Hapo ndio aliweza kufyatuliwa risasi katika paja lake la kushoto.
Efforts to save him did not bear fruit as he was pronounced dead on arrival at Bliss Health Center. Here is the mother.
Alikuwa shughuli zake wakiwa na mwenzake wakitoka kazini. Hakukuwa kwa maandamano.
Troubled by the call informing her about this shooting, she rushed to the scene of crime, but it was too late to have a word with her child. Rex was dead.
Wakati rafiki yake aliponipigia simu, nilifika jijini mwendo wa saa 2 ikielekea na nusu. Nilimpata mtoto wangu amelala chini akiwa ana uhai tena.
Sasa hata sina ya kusema. Sina la kusema kulingana na kile kilifanyika.
The father cannot express the pain of losing his firstborn child, who he looked unto.
Kitu mtu hajagonjeka. Pata tu simu kijana amefariki.
Today, an autopsy examination at the city mortuary confirmed Rex was shot on the left thigh and the bullet exited, causing serious muscle fractures and excessive bleeding. According to senior government pathologist Dr. Johnson Odor, this was the cause of his death. IPOA, Africa and other human rights bodies are calling for the immediate arrest and prosecution of the killer cop before he could interfere with the investigations.
Kando na huyu kuna mwingine yuko hospitali, na haya ni mambo ambayo hatutaki kuyaona katika hii nchi, na tunasema lazima haki itendeke.
We will still go out. Will the regime kill all Kenyans? Because we have a right. This is our country. Hakuna mahali tunaenda, tutazungumzia humu ndani.
And it's very unfortunate that this has happened, but because it has happened, we are not going to stop.
The killer cop has since been identified by sources, even as ODPP awaits for directions to charge him for the brutal murder of Rex Kanyike Masai in the next 21 days. The cop has since traveled to his village and surrendered the firearm to his seniors. Franklin Wala, TV 47.
Extremely sad. Now, a section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have come out to castigate the recent demonstrations of the Finance Bill 2024. While speaking in Eldoret, the leaders led by Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi and Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, the leaders took a swipe at the protests, this even as the protests are scheduled to continue next week. George Maringa reports.
A day after MPs voted to pass the contentious Finance Bill 2024 to the second reading, a section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have come out to defend the bill, which continues to rub many the wrong way. Led by Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi, the leaders defended the contentious Finance Bill 2024, saying it is what Kenya needs.
Hakuna mlango wa nyuma ambao umetumiwa. Na mimi nikiwa katika Wizara ya Fedha wakati ule, pia mimi nilipitia kwa haya maneno. Kulikuwa na yale maandamano yalikuwa naitwa no budget, no reform.
Mudavadi further warning of the crisis that would be occasioned by lack of the bill.
Finance bill ndio mizizi ya serikali. Kwa kimataifa, finance bill ikishindwa ama ikiangusha, the net effect, kusema ukweli, ni kwamba serikali imeng'olewa mamlakani. It is equal to a vote of no confidence in a government.
Leader of Majority Kimani Ichung'wah, on the other hand, defended his vote in the August House.
Na kwa mitandao watu wanaendezewa porojo mingi. Eti hata watu wa Eldama Ravine mutalipa tax ya ng'ombe, ya mbuzi, ya kondoo, mambo ambayo haiko kwa finance bill. Wengine nimeona wakiendeleza porojo hata matibabu ya kansa, ukiwa na kansa ati utawekewa tax ya ugonjwa ya kansa. Sasa nikajiuliza, hii watu wanasoma finance bill gani? Na mimi nataka niwatangazie nikiwa hapa, mimi nilipiga yes. Na niliongoza wabunge 204 wa Kenya kupiga yes.
And he did not stop there.
Wale wengi unaona wakiandamana Nairobi, wameshika simu ya iPhone, wanajiita Gen Z. Wanafika kwa maandamano na Uber. Wanatoka maandamano, wanaingia KFC kukula kuku na minofu. Ama hamkuwaona? Muliwaona? Maji ni ile ya chupa. Hao hawajui kukosa stima ni kitu gani. Hawajui mtu wako Eldama Ravine 35% peke yao ndio wako na nguvu ya stima.
Their sentiments backed up by other leaders.
Sasa kama walipata, nitapata wapi pesa nikikataa hii finance bill na tutakuwa na pesa tena ya kupeana? Hiyo ndio mpango ambaye tunataka tuelewe, ya kwamba kuangusha serikali kwa kuangusha hiyo bill si kazi ya maana. Upite sagasaki hadi evening tunasukuma kutafuta pesa kupitia kwa hii bajeti. Na hii mambo yote umepigia makofi wa Kenya wenzangu na watu wetu. Lazima pesa itafutwe mahali. Hakuna miti tunavuna pesa kama matunda. Pesa itabidi tutafute kutoka kwangu, kwako na kwa ule mwingine. Na pesa kutafutwa, lazima tulete kitu inaitwa finance bill, ndio tutafute pesa ya kufanya hiyo kazi.
Other Kenya Kwanza MPs speaking in Gatondo North have defended their decision to vote for the contentious finance bill, claiming that they did it for developments in the country.
Hivyo ni vizuri tuambiane ukweli. Na ni vizuri kama sisi wana Kiambu tulisema yes, ndio fertilizer iendelee kupatiwa wakulima. Tulisema yes, ndio sanitary towel na pads bei shuke. Tulivotia ile financial bill iende that reading. Na tulipoipigia kura, sisi kuna yale mambo mazuri tulikuwa tunaona katika hiyo bill, na tukasema hayo ndio tutapigania watu wetu wasaidike.
Elsewhere, as seen on this TikTok video, Majority Whip, on the other hand, Silvanus Osoro, dismissed the protesters. When all is said and done, the protests are scheduled to continue next week, even as Gen Z wait to see the direction that Parliament will take. For a generation that is not afraid to express themselves, eyes will be on the next course of action. Who will blink first? George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, a state of calm has been witnessed in the capital city of Nairobi just hours after mammoth crowds of protesters descended and caused massive disruptions. Business owners whose shops were affected are counting losses while at the same time calling for more security during protests. Chichi Josephine with more.
On Thursday, thousands of young people in Nairobi took it to the streets to participate in the protest against the 2024 Finance Bill. In the beginning, everything seemed calm. However, after counting hours, things went south. The police had to use tear gas and water cannons to disperse the rowdy crowd that had already damaged shops and some businesses. Business like this here was highly affected, and the owner claimed to have lost goods worth millions of shillings. And inside of the city, county askaris were cleaning up waste that had been littered, together with the remains of vehicles that were burnt.
Taxes analeta mingi zinaumiza wa Kenya. Unaona? Ile kitu ingekuwa mzuri angestabilize inji kwanza, si ndio? Then hata hizo taxes akianza kukata hata atunge fail. Lakini sasa anatutax na kile anatutax sisi atuna.
The protest not only affected businesses but also dented the remaining trust and faith residents had in their member of parliament.
Hiyo finance bill sasa imepita tu, sasa sisi tunategea tu 2027. Sasa ndio maoni yetu, sasa ndio itakuwa sawa.
The origin of this protest is the Finance Bill 2024, which Kenyans say will affect them economically due to high taxation.
Kaisha pita, president atasign tu. So sisi kama wananchi sometimes vitu zina happen, maybe haziwezi zikafavor kila mtu.
Chichi, Josephine, TV 47.
Tonight, the latest protests against the Finance Bill 2024 have brought to the fore the rising civic awareness. Is this a fresh wave symbolic of the end of voter apathy and lack of involvement in national discourse? George Maringa interrogates.
Of all the demonstrations ever witnessed and of all the crowds ever seen advocating for a cause, even the participants themselves will admit that the latest wave of protests is quite different.
When we see where our taxes are going, no normal mwananchi will say no, our roads are still bumpy. But do you know what we see? We see them with new watches, we see them with new houses, but a normal mwananchi haizi enda hospitali.
In broad daylight, and under the enchanting moon sky, crowds have relentlessly gathered. Armed only with their phones, internet connection, and endless choruses, the demonstrators, most of them classified as Generation Z or Gen Z, have had one message.
I'm here today, despite my mom telling me not to be here. And I'm here to make sure we change the narrative. I want to ensure that we change the narrative. I think it's a high time, we youths, especially Gen Z, it's high time, in as much as to pop up on ground, may we change the narrative.
From the capital, Nairobi, to other towns in the country, what started as anger on social media about the contentious Finance Bill 2024 has metastasized into something greater, and these young people are calling it as it is.
We are here because we want to be heard. We are here because it is us who our parents took to school so that we can lead, so that we can study and understand all the things that have been written there on that Financial Bill 2024. Yes, most of us voted in 2022, and we don't have confidence in this government.
We shall take over the power. We shall not agree that these leaders shall lead us into the wrong direction as we just sit still and wait for them. As the Gen Z, we've taken this into our own hands, we've taken matters into our own hands, and we shall lead this nation into liberation. We shall no longer be fearful, but we shall have power. Power is not given, power is taken, and we are...
The difference this time, these protests have not been organized by political parties. But despite the hundreds, borderline thousands of demonstrators, one wonders whether this means that voter apathy could be a thing of the past, and they say this is just the beginning.
In coming 2027 elections, I'm going to vote. And I want to tell the whole Gen Z, the whole country, please, to showcase it 2027. We want change. Change has to begin with us.
And I want to say, we have the power. So, tunasema, come 2027, same people who are taking whatever they are taking there, we are not voting them.
We are voting them out. No more.
Let all Gen Zs and millennials twende tukachukue kura. Sawa? Strategy number 1. Tukachukue ni kura. Sawa? Now we are equipped. Not only are we speaking on social media and on ground na tunabonga, now we have change kwa mkono yetu. Tuchukue kura, all right? Sikizeni vizuri. Now, step 2. What if, I'm asking myself, what if we pick someone, and there's a quarter 35, 36, 37, see, the rule of the presidency is from 35 kwenda juu. We pick someone ambaye we can easily talk to and control. Najua kumekuwa na wase and so many promises have been made in manifestos, si ndio? Na huyu jamaa sikuja kutuambia ati sijui kutakuwa na internet sokoni.
Whereas the finance bill may have sailed through to the second reading, they say the crowds can only get bigger, their message louder, and their zeal to be heard stronger.
If the finance bill passes, we're still going to protest. We're still going to boycott these politicians. Hakuna shortcut. Hatuikubali, hatuitaki kabisa. Bado tutapigana. We will come for you. We will come for you.
With just 3 years, 1 month, and a few weeks to the next general election in 2027, eyes will be on how this generation shapes and reshapes its political destiny. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Great reporting there, George. Indeed, it's the rise of Gen Z. Now, citizen politics. Politics of unity in the mountain took center stage when DP Rigathi Gachagua shared a platform with a host of Azimio leaders during the consecration of Bishop Ben Kenge in Ruiru. Now, the DP waged on with his one man, one vote, 1 shilling gospel, as Ruge Eval now tells us.
After a brief hiatus, Deputy President was back to his Mount Kenya backyard, calling for unity in the region, which has seen sharp divisions following reports of bad blood between the president and his deputy. And today, the DP was back at it, calling for the unity of the region.
And let me say, I have had a few fellows saying that my call for unity is leading this region out of government. How on earth? This is our government. This government, we put 47% percentage. It's our government. If anybody would want to leave, they would leave. This is our government.
Na sisi tulipigana Rigathi Gachagua apatiwe kiti ya deputy president. Hakupatiwa kiti hiyo ya deputy president kwa sababu he was more handsome than he's handsome today. He was given the votes because of the power of the mountain. Wanasema hajui kuvaa, wanasema hajui kuongea, wanasema kama hujui kuongea Gathoni wa Mushomba ako hapa atakuwa na kuongelelea kama hujui.
Githunguri Member of Parliament Gathoni wa Mushomba remained firm on her opposition to the 2024 finance bill.
Wakati wa budget tunadanganywa. Tunamwekea kura ya yes sisi wote pale. Lakini ikifika wakati wa kuweka maendeleo tunarudisha supplementary budget. Ile pesa yote tulikuwa tuweka kwa budget, wakati wa supplementary budget tunyanyang'anywa zote. Pesa yote ambayo tulikuwa tumewekewa za Mau Road tuliwekewa kwa budget 250 million. Wakati wa supplementary 2 months after that 250 yote ikaenda na maji. Tukaachwa barabara zetu za Mau zimekwama.
Eugene Mbugua, leader of the DAP party on the other end, reiterated on the importance of considering the one man, one vote, 1 shilling mode of division of revenue. On his part, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka called out to the police over the killing of Rex Masai during the protest on Thursday.
It is the right of every Kenyan to picket, to demonstrate, kufanya mambo haya yote, bora tu asiwe na silaha. Hao watoto hawakuwa na silaha.
The leaders urging the government not to ignore the issues raised by the protesters. Ruga Eval, TV47.
As the push for the full implementation of the universal health coverage gains momentum, the Ministry of Health has roped in the Council of Governors to deliberate on this agenda at the devolved unit. However, the governors have insisted that they want all debts owed to the now defunct NHIF totaling to 8 billion shillings settled before the transition to SHIF. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
The Council of Governors today held a council meeting to deliberate on key issues affecting county governments, including status update on the implementation of the universal health coverage, where the governors urged the national government to settle the 8 billion Kenya shillings debt owed to NHIF before transitioning to the Social Health Authority.
The Ministry of Health shall ensure that the 8 billion shillings owed to county facilities by the defunct National Health Insurance Fund will be paid even as we roll into the new SHA fund.
The monies that are owed to those public facilities by NHIF, most of the payments went to the private sector, and most of the facilities in the public sector have not been paid. We are owed up to 8 billion by NHIF.
According to the governors, led by Governor Anne Waiguru, for a smooth transition, there must be concurrence on pending bills. More so, Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki, who is also the chair for the Health Committee at the Council of Governors, says there are pending bills at KEMSA that will only be paid if the national government settles its debts to counties.
So as we transition, we do not want to see a situation where the 8 billion becomes a pending bill for the public facilities.
The governors further discussed financing for level 2 and 3 health facilities, human resources for health, and community health services.
Of Health, in collaboration with county governments, shall conduct a public campaign on the rollout of registration of citizens to the Social Health Authority.
Additionally, the Council of Governors is sounding an alarm to the national government against any move to deduct monies allocated to counties in the 2024-2025 budget, insisting counties should never suffer as per the law, and if there is a loss, then it should be borne by the national government.
We note with concern that the National Treasury intends to reduce the county equitable share by 5 billion from the 400.12 billion allocated in the Division of Revenue. This unilateral decision does not only undermine the spirit of devolution, but also jeopardizes the essential services to be delivered to millions of Kenyans.
Consequently, the governors want President William Ruto's administration to release monies owed to counties before the end of the financial year in the next 9 days. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako, chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia, pesa inavutia.
All right, let's now take a look at sports. And Kenya Police FC patron and Principal Secretary for Ministry of Interior and National Administration rewarded the Kenya Police FC teams with 1 million shillings. Well, this comes after brilliant performance from both teams in the 2023-2024 season. While speaking in a breakfast meeting with the players and the team stakeholders, PS Omolo insisted that promoting sports within the police ranks is crucial, not only for developing talent, but also for fostering national security and unity. Well, he also added that promoting sports would help build a sense of community between the police service and the public. Each of the Kenya Police teams is set to receive 500,000.
Expected the team to operate at, but you've actually lived up to those commitments, and you'll be finishing in top 3. And when you finish in top 3, you deserve a medal, isn't it? Our top scorer, for every extra goal, I would give 100,000.
how we can also handle the men's team for the Mozambique final, because we must put them in camp for some days. This is a very serious final, and we are not taking any chances. Coach Babu, we must win this cup. But you have no alternative.
Well, moving on, substitute Roman Yaremchuk kept Ukraine in Euro 2024 contention with a goal 10 minutes from